There are a lot of Texan women in here. What is going on? I just want to give actually a special shout out to all the men in the room. Are there any? Yeah, there you are. There he is. Stood up. I'm Abby Wambach, and I'm a former professional athlete and the youngest of 7. I think that being the youngest of 7 is kind of a massive part of how I became who I am. You saw in the video my kind of first heartbreak. And I know it seems a little trivial, but it's still with me. State high school championship game. I am still pissed about that, actually. I think going through my life and when I look back on all the pivotal moments, that's definitely one of the defining ones for me. And I think that it's kind of one of the things that I talk about a lot, because I think too often nowadays we're so predisposed to talk about the things that we're good at, things that we succeeded at. And really the thing that I actually learned the most from was this first heartbreak in my life. And I think that, you know, when we think about our life on a big spectrum, when you're on your deathbed, not to be too morbid, but you're going to think about the things that you worked through and you overcame, and this is one of the things. You didn't see that the next year I signed and went to the University of Florida. Go Gators. Texas. I know where I am, believe me. But I was really excited to go and play for the Gators, and I went there because there was a group of women, seniors, on that team that inspired me, and I looked at them and I just saw something different. And the difference that I saw in them and all the other colleges that I went to visit was that they played for each other. And I found that value system to be the very similar one that I had in high school. It's why I was so heartbroken, because, you know, even though I was in high school, it mattered to me. I knew I was one of the best players on the team, but we believed in the idea of what a team is. And I think everybody in this room kind of believes in that concept, right? Because as women, we all have to stick together. We all have to be a part of this bigger team, whether we're here in Austin or in different cities around the country. We women have to stick together in order to grow, in order to gain any headway and ground in the things that we want to accomplish in this world. So as I'm at the University of Florida, my freshman year, we ended up winning a national championship. Like I said, go Gators. And it was one of those moments for me that I was able to actually really go inside and figure out what was important that year. I really dedicated myself to playing, especially after this heartbreak in high school, rather. And I'm so thrilled because, you know, I'm 18 years old. I think I have the next 3 years in college to win national championships. Well, I never won another one. And I thought that was really interesting, because even though you think Olympic athletes or Olympians or World Cup champions, they must have just had this really easy road. You know, nothing really ever truly came that easy to me when it came to winning the full big championships. When I was 22 years old, I started getting called into the national team. Now, at the time, some players you may know. Have you guys ever heard of Hamm? Maybe? Yeah. So, actually, funny story, when I was 10 years old, I had pictures of her up on my wall. And then 10 years later, I was in the locker room with her. This doesn't make sense. But in 1999, I was 19, I was in college. The women, they won the World Cup here in the United States. Did you guys watch that game? Brandy ripped her shirt off. That was pretty awesome. And I remember having this moment where I was yeah, I want to do that. That actually looks pretty fun. And it's funny because I actually got drafted second. I'm still a little bit pissed about that too. But lucky enough, I actually got drafted to play on Hamm's team. So it was the budding professional league called WUSA, Women's United Soccer Association. And I couldn't have been more lucky to have been drafted to play with Mia Hamm. She actually is from Texas. I don't know if you guys know that. She grew up in Virginia, but she was born and raised in Texas. I don't know where. In Austin, let's just say Austin. So playing with her gave me and allowed me so many cool opportunities. She's something else. She's super smart, very introverted. So my personality and hers were like really interesting. She thought that I was obnoxious at first, I think. So I just kept talking more until we became friends. But the things that I learned from her were really interesting. She was injured when I first got on the team, and nowadays, it's kind of interesting thinking about 10 years ago, 20 years ago, what you would do when you were injured. And she was at the training field every single day. Now, it's like you're in PT, you're in the recovery room, and you're trying to do whatever you can while the team's out in the field training. Well, she took it upon herself because it was so important to her that our team do well. And I'm like this kid just out of college. I don't know anything. And she's there coaching me every single time I come off the field, every single time I go get a drink of water. She's telling me what I need to do better. And at that age, I just was like a sponge. I mean, like when Mia Hamm's giving you advice, you're just like, okay, I believe you, you know? And I think that that's really interesting because we have all of these moments in our lives that people offer advice or give us tidbits of information. And you can either take it or leave it, right? It's up to you. You get to decide what you do with that information. And I chose to open-armed accept anything that Mia had to say, and it changed my life. That relationship changed my life because I was able to develop a connection with her off the field, a trust with her off the field, that inevitably turned into an amazing dynamic on the field, which then led to me getting called into more national team games. I don't know if you guys saw the 2015 World Cup last summer, the summer before last. When I think about that experience and our final being the most televised game in the history of all soccer games here in the United States. Yes. Well, what I think about is how far we've come. Because like Annie was saying about Title IX, Title IX actually wasn't put into effect because of sports. It was because women wanted to become doctors. And there was no opportunity for them to become doctors. So in 1972, they enacted this law that, you know, like Annie was saying, that made it more equal for women and men to get the same amount of rights for any federally funded institution. And in fact, it changed my life. I'm a byproduct of Title IX. Everybody in this room is probably a byproduct of Title IX on some level. So that's where it started. And how many stadiums did my team play that were empty throughout the years? How many tournaments were played that weren't televised throughout the years? Many. Now, fast forward to my retirement about a year ago. And I'm kind of trying to figure out what I want to do with my life and figure out what I want to do post-career. And I think that you guys may have heard about the turf war fight that we had in 2015 with FIFA, our governing body. Yeah, we filed a lawsuit against FIFA. And unfortunately, we had to drop the lawsuit because they were delaying it until after the actual tournament would have held up. And so we dropped that lawsuit. And I think what happened for me from then until the time that I retired was I just got royally pissed off. Because I saw in my retirement, and I started looking across the aisle, like, I wonder what, you know, Ronaldo and Messi would be doing in their retirement. They're male soccer players, like in Europe. I don't know if you guys know them. And I started comparing myself because I feel like we have similar resumes, minus the fact that like I actually have a World Cup trophy. And obviously, my retirement's going to be much different than theirs. And the worst part about that sentence is the obviously word. Because I'm a woman, I'm not going to have the opportunity to do whatever I want in my retirement because they've made $1 bazillion and I haven't. So I started doing some introspection and thinking, what could I have done better? What could I have done more? And the truth is I feel like maybe I could have. Maybe I didn't speak up more when I should have. So wherever you are in your life, wherever you are in your career, learn from my mistakes. I was, I think, a little bit too scared to rock the boat because I didn't want to lose my position. I didn't want to lose my spot on the team. I didn't want to lose any of that because then I lose all the endorsements and all the money that comes in because I have to pay my mortgage. And that's important. But what I lost was some time. I lost time to be able to mobilize not just my teammates, but mobilize women like you to do more work. Because if I did work 2-3 years ago, maybe we would be in a better place right now. And then as I look forward, throughout my retirement the last year, I've had a really interesting transition. It's been hard in moments. And not to say that if I had more money in my bank account, it'd be less hard, because that's not true. I'm just saying the security of it. Being able to do whatever it is that I want. And so I kind of impassioned myself to go around the country, meet with high-level decision makers, both men and women around this country, CEOs, politicians, activists, women like you. And I think where we're at now in our world is we need not just women, but men and women to stand up together to fight for all the right things that this world really, truly does need. And it's equal pay, it's equal opportunity, it's equal rights. And look, this last week has been intense, to say the least. And listen, I don't care at this point who you voted for, who I voted for. That doesn't matter anymore, because we have to move forward. And the thing I learned the most about this last week is that we do care. People do care. And it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you sit on. I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud to live in this country. But the most important thing that we've learned as women is that we still have a long way to go. We still have a long way to go. And even though Hillary didn't break through that glass ceiling, I'm confident that somebody will. And that somebody is going to unite this entire country. Because listen, you guys, with the social media thing, we are separating ourselves. We're only following people that we want to follow, that believe in the same things that we believe in. And what we think is expanding our lives, expanding our community, is actually shrinking our brains and our hearts. Because we haven't allowed ourselves to actually listen to people, to sit and talk with people face to face. And you guys are doing it now. So I challenge you, in your seats, around your tables, have these hard conversations. And it's not like who you voted for or what your political beliefs are. It's like, what are we going to do now? How are we going to fix this country? Because parts of it are broken. We are polarized. And the only way to come back to some sense of a middle is to sit in front of each other, have conversation, be fearless in that conversation, and open your minds and listen. You can be curious without being judgmental. Look, I spent a lifetime, it feels like, fighting against, it's not against men, just fighting against status quo. And you don't have to do that. You don't have to do it because people before you have done it for you. I'm proud to have played on the women's national team for as long as I did. And I'm proud that I know that I left it better than I found it. And that's something that I wish for you all. But you have to do the work. And you have to put yourself in front of each other and have these hard conversations so that we can unite. Because all of us in this room know that women have so much more to go, so much further to go. And it's you guys that are going to be the ones that do it. Thank you guys so much.